Welcome back to the Rogue Urbex. This is the final part and conclusion of our exploration of an abandoned hospital that dates back to the year 1910. In part 1 and 2, we explored the main building of this hospital, as well as the doctor's offices, admin building, classrooms and nurses' residence. If you have not yet seen part 1 and 2, please feel free to click the links in the description below. Through a history stretching well over 100 years, this hospital has seen its fair share of changes, upgrades and expansions, which made it difficult to find our direction. Certain areas were closed off over decades of changes, but during our 3 days of exploring this location, we finally covered the entire compound to show you the various departments and buildings that make up this massive facility. As mentioned in part 1 and 2, due to political sensitivity, the advanced state of decay of most buildings, and on-site security that guard the few residents that still live in the remaining homes on the premises, we will unfortunately not disclose this hospital's location. So join Rogue and Sinister as we conclude our exploration of this massive facility, and let's see what we find in part 3 as we explore what remains of the mortuary, the pharmacy, the operating theatres, the Xray and hydrotherapy department, and finally, the Department of Health's offices. After exploring the front of the main building, the doctor's offices, admin building and classrooms, and then navigating our way through the charred remains of the nurses' residence, it is a relief to finally step out into the mid-afternoon sunlight to explore the outer buildings and the back of the main building. It's hard to believe, but we are walking through what used to be the parking lot for medical staff and other employees, now covered mostly by overgrowth. The on-site security mentioned that this hospital's mortuary was situated in a separate building at the rear of the hospital, so this is what we were hoping to find. A double swing door leads us into a very unassuming building that turns out to be the remains of the mortuary. This became clear as we walked down a narrow passage and are greeted by the ceramic slab upon which thousands of post-mortems were performed through the decades that this hospital was operational. On the left of the slab, two tiny doors lead into cold room storage for the deceased, waiting to be examined by the coroner. On the other side of these two tiny doors is a small examination room, with a small ceramic slab for the autopsy of organs or limbs. Years of abandonment have not been kind to this building. With a collapsed roof, nature continues to reclaim this place day by day and little by little. As we walk out of this mortuary, the post-mortem report is clear. Cause of death, abandonment. Time of death, estimated to be between 15 to 20 years ago. Opposite the mortuary, crossing what used to be a road, we find the remains of the pharmacy. Here, the same fate befell this building, a collapsed roof, due to decades of abandonment. The only clue that this was once a pharmacy is the shelving that still lines the walls. Strangely, we can also still smell the scent of medication that you only find in pharmacies. Maybe we just have a good imagination, but in this moment I swear there was a familiar pharmacy smell in the air. Down a covered concrete walkway, we make our way into the back of the main building, to stumble across the operating theatres. This was totally inaccessible from the front of the main building. This place has zero graffiti, and most of the damage looks to be caused by natural decay. Obviously, medical equipment was either salvaged or scrapped, but what remains looks to be untouched for close to 20 years. This was once a high care unit, with oxygen and other attachment points still lining the wall. In the corner, we find the station for the nurse overseeing the patients in high care, with a shelf for the various medications and equipment needed to care for the needs of these patients. Opposite high care, the passage is lined with 3 theatres. This is the middle and one of the smaller theatres. Serious water damage is eating away at this place. For some reason, old medical records are scattered everywhere. This was a storage room for the theatreware and related equipment, right next to the major theatre. Today, only the ceiling attachments for the theatre lights and oxygen switches reveal what this place once was. We stumbled upon this building that housed the Xray and hydrotherapy section, totally inaccessible from the main building. We had to navigate through the rear of the property and then through the theatre section, and if you don't look carefully, this building is easy to miss. The passage to the left is lined with 4 rooms, each containing the remains of various types of X-ray equipment. Other equipment such as a fridge for vaccinations are also scattered around. Strangely, this place felt very eerie, with a silence like no other in this hospital. Only our footsteps and voices can be heard from time to time. Back at the entrance, going to the right, we come across the hydrotherapy section. By the looks of it, this place hasn't seen patients in a very long time and might have been used for storage before this hospital was finally abandoned. The pool or bath is all that remains as clue that this was for hydrotherapy, now filled with old equipment and other junk. As we take our last steps in this building, we had one final office to explore, This would prove to be very risky, since it used to be the provincial office for the Department of Health, and it is situated by the security entrance of this compound. Due to the fact that some health department employees still reside on premises, we were not sure if we would be allowed access. So while Sinister stood watch, I had to time it perfect to sneak into the back of this government office. Even though the main hospital and its various departments were abandoned roughly 20 years ago, the Department of Health's office was only vacated sometime during 2018, yet hundreds of confidential files were left behind, together with medical consumables, medication and surgical equipment. A heavy-duty safe stands in the passage, still locked. Around the corner is a spacious office with a built-in fire safe. This one is unlocked. I crouch down to listen and watch for security. It seems that I go undetected, so I risk it to peek inside. Document upon document, some still sealed inside plastic and boxes, all left behind and forgotten. By the decay of this building, it is clear that even before the Department of Health finally abandoned this facility, it was already years overdue for maintenance. By the looks of it, nature will reclaim this place long before anybody ever thinks of returning. In total, this location took us 3 days to explore. Although specific history and detail of this location is very scarce, we were able to gather some facts and draw an educated conclusion on the abandonment of this once proud institution. On the oldest cornerstone of the main building, it shows that this facility was established on 12 March 1910, only a few years after the end of the Anglo-Boer War in 1902. A second cornerstone was laid on 6 April 1927, upon the construction of the building that in its last days housed the office of the Department of Health. The third and final cornerstone was laid on 27 March 1931, upon the expansion and upgrade of this facility. By the various cornerstones on this location, it is safe to assume that this hospital went through numerous developments, upgrades and expansions, but it also proves that this location dates back to more than a century. 1994 spelled the end of segregation in South Africa, and shortly thereafter a new government was elected. This hospital is state-owned and state-funded, and due to its location in a then predominantly white area, government withdrew all funding to construct new hospitals closer to the previously disadvantaged areas. This was the final chapter in the history books of this once world-class facility. As we always say, This is why we do this. Rogue and Sinister visit these places to document them before they completely disappear. We also do these explorations to respect the memory of the people and the places that once was. If you wish to support the Rogue Urbex initiative to continue documenting abandoned and forgotten places, please subscribe, like, comment and share. We'll see you in our next episode.